When you do a channel mask, we use the levels to get rid of the blacks and the whites in the image. Does it all have to be done in one shot? Not necessarily. I'm going to look through the channels. Red channel, probably not good because there's not a lot of red in the sky, so it's very dark. There's some red in the barn, so it's kind of light. All right, green, getting better. The sky is blue. Let's take a look at the blue channel. Ooh, that's pretty good contrast. So I'm going to duplicate that layer. And I'm going to go into image adjustments, levels, and I'm going to pull up the shadows until the foreground here looks pretty dark. I'm going to grab the whites, I'm going to pull them down until, interesting. It looks pretty good here. We got white. But then we have a lot of gray down here. I'd have to pull it this far to get this part here looking good. Will that make this a very convincing edge? Let's take a look up here. What is it that's going to give us the convincing transition, the believability? It's the softness, it's those pixels in between. Like I said, there's no hard edges. There's always these kind of soft transitions. But if you do this, well, that's going to look way too harsh. So the farther apart we can keep the white point and the black point, the better off we're going to be. So when I'm pulling that white point down, if part of the image suddenly looks good, well, that looks great up there. I'm going to hit OK. I need to push this even farther though. If I just call up levels and pull this down even more, I'm applying it to this area again. How can I make sure that this levels adjustment will only affect the area that I need it to affect? I'm on the blue copy. I made a duplicate of it, but there's some gray tones in here, some fairly light gray tones. I don't want to affect this. I do want to affect this. What tool do I have right now? That's a lasso, isn't it? I know I've given it a bit of a feather radius, so it's not a perfectly hard edge. And if you're ever going to do something like this, don't cut through like, the top of a roof or the side of a wall or something where, the left and right sides might show a bit of a difference. Instead, I'm just going to nip right through that little corner there. And look at this. I've selected this area that needs more work done. It needs those highlights cleaned up a bit more. This area doesn't. Because of this selection, this is the only area I can do anything. Pull this down. Ooh, looks pretty good to about there now. I'll hit OK, deselect. I'll grab this little bit. Command L. Pull those highlights down a bit more. Grab this area down here, maybe a little bit lower. Command L, pull those highlights down a bit more. So no one says you have to do a layer mask or a channel mask all in one shot. You can do it in multiple stages. Same thing on this side over here. Everything looks good to about there. Command L, I can pull those highlights down. So you might find this when you're cutting out a person. Maybe they're standing against a sky and there's a gradual transition from the lighter horizon to the darker top part of the sky. Suddenly it looks great around the shoulders, but the hair, there's still some gray up in there. Okay, well, accept that levels adjustment. Select just the area around the head that has those little wispy bits of gray, pull it down a little bit further. So you can do it in multiple stages. So I'll give you a few minutes, play around with that. What else needs to be done on this one here? Well, obviously this needs to be painted in. When I did my selection, I grabbed it down here. Do I need to do this with levels? Should I select that and Command L and do that? I mean, obviously I could. But probably an easier way is simply take a paintbrush, some white paint, just paint that out. And all the stuff in here, what would happen if we used this as a channel mask? You'd see right through that, wouldn't you? That would become a transparent part of the image. So cleaning up that would just involve filling some black paint into these areas and getting right up to the edge. We can use a big brush to get the middle part, but when we get up into here, here's a neat trick. You guys remember shift clicking? If I do a click here, hold down the shift key and click here, it jumps in between those points. So if you've got large straight areas to do, shift clicking can be a nice way to make sure you get everything in between. So I'll give you a few minutes to play around with that. And remember to put a feather radius on that lasso tool, just so you don't see a really harsh transition. Okay. This is how you know you're lost. But yeah, you can just drop in whatever, new skies, anything. If you are going to drop in a new sky, just bear in mind the direction of the light. How many people have a collection of skies? You got to match angle of light, color of light. You can't put a cool looking sky in this when this is clearly like an evening sky coming down across it.